Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Body Armor here with Brian. I've been asked a lot to talk about a topic that I think is very good to equip the body and armor you guys up here on this topic. So today I want to talk to you about relationships. Now, in my opinion, relationships can be broken down into about 4 categories. They can be broken down into friendships, dating/marriage relationships, family, and also your work relationships. As you guys watch this video, there might be some other categories you break it down into, but I think these are the 4 most we interact often with. For the purposes of this video, I want to focus in on 2 of those areas, and that would be the areas of friendships and the category of dating/marriage. I think a lot of the times I'm getting questions asked about how a person should interact in these scenarios, and so today I'd like to talk to you about that. If you look at how the scripture talks about making the right relationships, which is actually justice. Justice is right relationships. God is a just God. He wants to have right relations with everyone. So if we look at that, Paul, in his letter to the 2 Corinthians, really starts to break down and meticulously separate all thoughts when it comes to friendships, and really wants to encourage us to think differently about how we interact with our friends. So I'm going to read for you 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. Paul writes to the Corinthian church, he says, "Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what does righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness?" The answer to those last 2 questions is what relationship should righteousness and wickedness have? Should light be with dark? And the answer to that is simply no. So what you have to understand is that the yoke that he's talking about in here is a farming term. It's a tool that used to tie 2 animals together that would push a tool of some kind, whether that's plowing or whether that's a trailer or something along those lines. And that yoke would have to be put in position with 2 very similarly strong animals. If you put an animal that was weaker with an animal that was stronger, the stronger animal could not actually move as effectively as the weak one. So they would actually go at the pace of the weak one, or because of the strength of the strong one, it would actually veer off course and not have a proper function. It would be misguided and not working properly. And so if you look at what Paul's saying here, is if a believer, someone who is saying that they are walking in the kingdom of light, someone who is trying to live by the righteousness of Christ inside them, partners themselves with someone who is anti-God and anti-Christ, you're going to find out that something's just not going to work right with your relationships. Your friendships or your dating and your marriage relationships is just going to be not working properly. It's not going to function. And you have to look at your relationships right now, and you have to ask yourself, am I partnered more with people of the kingdom who are strengthening themselves as much as I am, or am I partnering more with people who are just walking with the ways of the world, which we're not called to walk like that? He further says in 1 Corinthians 15, verses 33 through 34, he says, "Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals." We've heard this before. It says, "Become sober-minded as you ought to and stop sinning." Some of these people have no knowledge of God. Some of the people we encounter, some of the people we hang around, the saying that we have in our culture today is, you are who your friends are. Who your closest company is who you're probably going to be. I could tell when my cousins or my siblings or even kids I interact with here, I can tell who they are. They can tell me all they want who they are, but I can tell who they are by who their friends are. And if I have a pretty good feeling of who their friends are, I can pretty much tell you who you are when you're not around. Yes, there are some exceptions to that rule, but most times this is the way it's going to flesh out. So the question I have for you today is, are you partnered well in your relationships? Are you yoked with somebody who's just as strongly seeking after God as you are? Or are you yoked more with people who are there for themselves? Are you in right relationships today? Ask yourself that. And I promise you that if you ask the Lord to start giving you the right relationships, start putting relationships in your life that are going to benefit you, you're going to see a difference in the way you live, in the way that you interact with the people around you. You're just going to feel overall better, because the laws of God are not a burden. They're actually a blessing. He equips us to walk in the right things rather than foolishly walk in the wicked things. So hopefully you are armored up today here at Body Armor. Like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do with this video. Please, if it impacted you, share it so it can get impact to other people's lives. Have a great day and God bless.